What the heck is going on, Crisis Actors? It is episode 1096 of Pop Culture Crisis, and before we get into anything today, I just want to let you know that streams were getting cut off for showing the Avengers Doomsday trailer, and it would not let me go live. There was no go live button until I went into the title description for this episode and manually removed the words trailer from the title. Now I have one. It went live on Rumble just fine. YouTube would not do it until I got rid of the words trailer. So they are striking down a storm right now, ladies and gentlemen. So I hope you are all having a fantastic day today. After all these weeks of bitching about the Odyssey from everyone and it's Avengers that's going to get you copyright struck? Who knows? Anyways, my name is Brett. I hope you guys are all having a fantastic Monday today. I am here with my co-host. Introduce yourself, please.
Hello, Crisis Actors. It's Mary. We are back from the weekend. We are the most persecuted podcast in existence, as you can tell. I did think it was because trailer was in the title. That was my first thought trouble arose.
Look, so I'm pretty good about.
We're marked safe. We're not going to show the trailer, obviously.
Yeah, like so when we go live in OBS, right? When I hit the start streaming button, it immediately gives you the option to go live on YouTube. It's like start stream, and then Rumble usually takes like another minute to load. Today, Rumble loaded fairly quickly. YouTube did not. The button did not light up. It would not let me do anything. So they are out there doing the funny business. Say, now I don't even want to show the still images, but we're gonna do it.
That has to be permissible. Anyways, Taco Bell is innocent, y'all. They have been proven innocent, and I'm delighted to say it. We have a $20 super chat to that effect from Shane H. Wilder. Happy Monday, Brett and Mary. Taylor Farms was a false positive. FDA has traced the cyclospora to a Mexican farm that supplies lettuce to Taco Bell in Indiana, Kentucky, Michigan, Ohio, and West Virginia. Stay vigilant and don't crap your pants. However, to fact check you, I did see that Taco Bell is no longer under investigation because the source is now unknown. It's as far as the latest reports that I saw, they still have not found a potential source for the contaminated produce. So although Taylor Farms is in the clear, there's no suspect after that.
Has anybody checked Ballerina Farms? Are they responsible for this?
It has to be Hannah Nealman and her dirty Mormon lettuce. The devil's lettuce is what they call it.
I did post about this. I applauded Taco Bell for causing COVID too and apologizing with like a Notes app apology, which is basically what their Twitter post was a Notes app apology.
I said earlier, I want a Contagion sequel starring Gwyneth Paltrow about the outbreak of cyclospora, where, you just see like bodies piling up in the streets outside of your local Taco Bell. I think that would be a cultural moment for everyone.
I would watch that movie. All right, guys, we've got a bunch of stuff to get into today. Let's hope there's no more funny business. Just a heads up, I do want to give you guys a chance. If you did not see it on Saturday, I did a bonus episode with Kino Corner, premiered it Saturday night, and he goes granular on details about just how the Odyssey movie differs from the Odyssey as an adaptation, and he does a really great job of breaking down a whole bunch of stuff. I would ask that you guys, if you can, after the episode today, go and check that out. You may find it informative. And also, if you are not yet a member of the Timcast Discord, go ahead and sign up for that, because every other week I do a bonus Saturday 7 p.m. episode. When I'm actually there. I missed last 2 Saturdays ago. I actually I did it at 11 p.m. But this Saturday, I'm going to be there on time, so we're looking forward to that. You should go and sign up for the Timcast Discord. Also, I am going to hopefully be at the coffee shop member event on Friday night after we do our episode 1100 special. We are going to start that an hour early.
That's a
on
big
Friday.
Day for us.
Yes.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
I'm very excited to change my text for my Spotify episodes from green to white. That I made that decision.
So for the cast brew party, is everyone just going to drink a dangerous amount of coffee together?
Just get really jittery.
It's just going to be an alcohol-free event because everyone is drinking so much coffee. I mean, that's kind of a vibe.
We'll have to find out. Maybe Olivia can fill me in on the details.
Sadly,
tonight.
I will not be making it. I have other obligations, but I'm hoping all of you have fun if you go.
So what are we getting into today? We got a lot of stuff to get to talk about, one of which will be Avengers Doomsday, the trailer, which we will not show you. Heaven forbid we get in trouble. Yes, that we get in trouble from the YouTubers for showing the trailer, but we did watch it. I've got some thoughts on it, and we'll show you some still images, and we'll go through a little bit. The numbers are promising for it, just 5 hours out of the release of this trailer, so we'll get into that. We're also going to talk about the Odyssey, because the Chuds lost, ladies and gentlemen. They are no match for Christopher Nolan, who opened to like $250 gazillion, a very, very big, high opening weekend. He far exceeded the expectations they had for him. They originally thought he was going to make about $200 million worldwide. He over-indexed both in the U.S. and overseas, so it's a big day for him, and it's a big day for people who have been taking woke L's for like the last 10 years, because they have a movie they can point to now that proves to the contrary. We're going to get into that more tomorrow with Mike, but today we'll talk about the box office, and Mary has her thoughts on it as well. She went and saw it.
Yes, I was lucky enough to see the Odyssey in IMAX. From the comparisons I've seen, it is abysmal if you can't watch it in the proper formatting, because they literally cut off people's heads. But yeah, I saw it and I have thoughts on it.
Okay.
Mostly not positive ones, but we'll get there.
And also, the World Cup halftime show was what they call Amerislop. TM.
It was, yeah, absolute Amerislop. Starring Tom Cruise.
Well, by law, I have to support that, but the rest.
It sounds
of the
like
world,
really up your alley, actually, when I phrase it like that.
Justin Bieber, Tom Cruise, was this made for me specifically? I feel so seen.
When Post Malone came out, and I was like, he was in his like denim getup. I was like, man, like, I kind of wish when he was kind of fat and a rapper.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I think he said recently he's going to be doing more rap music again.
Well, yeah, he was rapping in that performance. So like, I don't know. I want to ask people in a poll today, like, is wokeness back? I want to ask.
Well, I already put a poll up. I said Avengers Doomsday trailer, good or bad.
Oh, okay.
So,
well, maybe we can find out if wokeness is back tomorrow then.
Yeah. All right. So we got that. We got a bunch of other stuff. If you're ready to go, we can just go. Are you ready?
I think so.
Ready then? All right, then let's go ahead and get started then. All right, guys, we cannot show you the Avengers Doomsday trailer today because what we have found out is that YouTube is being very litigious when it comes to the showing of this trailer. Apparently, Marvel does not want people out there restreaming, showing this trailer to everyone else. I don't understand why necessarily, because from everything that I've seen, the trailer is doing very, very well on YouTube. It's got about 17 million views in about 5 hours. The upvotes are far, far higher than the downvotes, though the success of the Odyssey this weekend seems to call into question just how, as I said before, how accurate that dislike counter is, as I've said. And what we are looking at here is a trailer that is taking the Avengers back to where the Avengers were supposed to be at around the time of Infinity War. What I mean by that is that I feel, in my personal opinion, that I saw a lot of direct visual callbacks to previous Avengers trailers, mainly the 2 Infinity War trailers. The problem with that is though there's similarities into the way that they're constructed, especially with certain shots, what you learn is that it's not the trailer itself on its own that actually wins for people. It's the emotional resonance it carries by having a bunch of characters that you've seen over the last however many years, phase 1 and 2, all the way into phase 3, that made people care about these movies. It wasn't the shots, it was the characters. Now we're getting similar shots with a bunch of characters that nobody really cares about because they basically washed Marvel after Phase 4 and tried to start again. And so we're kind of off to the races with not a whole lot at all. This trailer was supposed to premiere at Hall H at Comic-Con this coming weekend, and they moved it earlier. That's why I was surprised to see it this morning.
Did they explain why?
I don't know. Maybe they're like football, like soccer is done. We'll just release it now. And then poor James Gunn released like a promotion for like the Lanterns, and everyone's like, we don't care.
Yeah, that's falling off.
Also, if I remember correctly, they're promoting something called Infinity Vision, which is like their premium. Yeah. It's their premium large format because they're not getting any of the IMAX screens because the IMAX screens are going to Dune.
You can now experience Avengers Doomsday on bigger, brighter, and more immersive screens. Tickets are now on sale exclusively for Infinity Vision in certified theaters. Whatever the hell that means. Most of the people in the replies, at least on X, were saying that this is underwhelming and that they're trying to reheat their own nachos, that Doctor Doom is unimaginably powerful and is basically, in their eyes, a copycat of Thanos, so they're just trying to bring back Thanos in a weird way.
I did like Robert Downey Jr.'s like it sounded like a Dutch accent. I don't know what that accent he was doing was, but I liked it. And they point out that like he's kind of giving a warning. He's not giving a warning as if he's going to do something. He's giving a warning as if something is going to happen, and they're trying to frame him as a more sympathetic villain. I will say, the most interesting thing about this trailer, because spoiler alert to anybody who's watching, you already knew this, but they bring back Captain America, except for he's not Captain America, it's just Steve Rogers. Thor basically checks to make sure that it's Captain America by seeing if he can actually summon Mjolnir, which he can. And that's kind of the basis for this trailer. They brought back all the old characters, and you don't see Robert Downey Jr.'s face, but you do see Dr. Doom with the mask on. The most interesting concept they have going into this movie, and they have to nail it or it all falls apart underneath it, is they need an interesting explanation as to why Steve is back and why Professor X looks like... why Dr. Doom looks like Tony Stark.
Well, it's perceived as just an alternate version of Tony Stark from a different universe.
By the way, I have not read the leaks on this. There are leaks that have come out from a Russian Telegram like channel that they say
makes
lines
it sound
up.
Reliable.
Well, no, that some of this lines up with it. The scene about Thor and Captain America and the summoning of Mjolnir was in there. So I have not read the rest of it. So there could be information that I'm leaving out, but I don't want to know yet. So
regarding Iron Man, Variety explained it's likely that Doctor Doom is a variant of Iron Man from another universe.
Again, but like that's Victor Von Doom is like a separate character. I guess that means that Victor Von Doom was Iron Man in that world. But again, that's not very interesting to me. I would like something else. I don't know what it would be, but they have to knock that aspect out of the park. The other big problem here is, look, you get Shang-Chi, you get the X-Men, you get multiple variants, you get Professor X and Magneto, and it's basically like, is this movie 6 hours long? None of these characters are going to feel at all like they've done anything. First of all, because we haven't actually built up anything because nobody cares about any of these characters anymore. Like Shang-Chi meets with Gambit. Kind of cool, I guess. But Deadpool and Wolverine was a couple years ago, and that was the most successful one they've had. Nobody cares about Shang-Chi. Even if I said it was better than the Eternals, thank God they didn't make me watch any of the Eternals in this, at least not that I caught. But like, people don't care. There's a general disconnect between the audience and what they're watching here.
They've got the Avengers, they've got X-Men, they've got the Thunderbolts cast, Fantastic Four cast, all added together in this giant pot of slop.
Here was my my post where I said these were what I consider to be visual callbacks to prior trailers. Now, the fact that they're shots in the movie isn't as important as the fact that they're shots that they used in the trailer. For one, you've got the shot of Vision and Scarlet Witch up there, and it kind of in a way mirrors the shot of Loki because they're against the silhouette of the window. And then you've got the shot where Thanos tries to use the gauntlet on Steve, and he basically catches it, and with using all his strength to stop him from obliterating him. Though it's funny because that wouldn't even really matter because at one point he just literally decks Iron Man with the gauntlet, and that should have killed him, but apparently not. And then it kind of runs contrary to that shot there, where the shot next to it, where Thor tries to attack Doctor Doom, and Doctor Doom basically stops him with like one finger. And it's kind of the same thing visually. They're both played the same way. And then, of course, we have the shot of Steve Rogers meeting T'Challa in Wakanda. And then they have a similar shot with, I forget who Winston Duke plays, M'Baku. Literally, it's like there's going to be a trailer like that guy and that guy and that guy, where M'Baku meets the Thing. So, you know, there you have it. Like there's visual callbacks to trailers from other movies. And I actually think that worked against them because it's calling back to movies that had emotional resonance. So it's like you feel like if they had cut the trailer in a different way where it didn't feel like they were trying to capture the essence of something that actually did have 3 phases of Marvel built into the emotional resonance, they could have cut this thing in a different way and perhaps it would have landed differently for a lot of these people. Now, again, that doesn't really mean anything. The views are high. There's not a lot of dislikes on it. Clearly, people enjoy it, but I feel like they should have gone a different way, perhaps, with the way they cut the trailer together.
One of the takes that I came across said that Avengers trailer is so funny because it's literally just things happening with no buildup. There's no momentum or anything to carry you to a feeling of this being the movie like Infinity War's trailer. It's just shit happens because that's what Doomsday is going to be.
Yeah.
Another one had speculation that there was AI involved in the
shots
CGI shots. Yeah. It says maybe AI has completely ruined my perception, but a lot of the action honestly feels like AI generated battle sequences with the actors' faces composited in. Everything is there on paper, the scale, characters, spectacle, and yet it didn't hit me the way I expected. When the first Avengers Infinity War trailer dropped, it genuinely felt like a once-in-a-generation event. The hype was unreal. This, on the other hand, feels more like fan service stacked on top of fan service, bringing back familiar faces to recreate a feeling that might not be possible to recreate. Maybe I'm just getting older, but my first impression was surprisingly mixed.
That's got nothing to do with AI and everything to do with the fact that those characters had 3 phases of Marvel movies to build up and 3 phases of basically Thanos in the post-credit scenes and stuff showing up. He's absolutely right. The first time you hear Thanos speak in the original Infinity War trailer, and he basically says, like, you've won, now you're going to understand what it's like to lose, was a cultural moment in a lot of ways. And no, here's the thing. And the way they use the shot of Thor trying to attack Doctor Doom is just thrown in the middle of the trailer, whereas when Thanos tries to use the gauntlet on Steve, it's literally the crescendo building moment for the end of the second Avengers trailer. It was just more competently edited.
So I understand that this was their next move for the big bad after Kang had to be slashed from their plans. But what's the deal with that? Are they just going to pretend that that never happened?
Yeah,
the Kang post-credits?
They've just basically given up on it, yeah.
That's not going to go acknowledged whatsoever.
The voice of Robert Downey Jr.'s Doctor Doom, again, like you said, because they got rid of Kang, who rises out of the shadows with the hood and mask for the first reveal. He isn't making threats, he's issuing a warning, which is the first on-screen taste of the sympathetic angle that his character has been rumored to carry. Again, I think people will have a problem with that as well. People are kind of sick of sympathetic villains.
Slightly related, but adjacent to this, I heard a take on what was it, Masters of the Universe? I didn't watch it, but I know you did. There was this scene where I guess the villain Skeletor, right?
Yes.
Says, like, they ask him like why he's so evil, I guess, and then he answers like, I'm just evil, I'm just a bad guy, I do bad stuff.
Yep.
Like, they had to, in a very self-referential, self-aware way, you know, make fun of the idea that villains should have a backstory or sympathetic reason for their actions, and just, you know, in a way that's like even more postmodern than making a sympathetic villain, just to acknowledge that the villain is evil for no reason.
I mean, the self-referential nature was there throughout the whole movie, so at least it fits in line with that too. And it actually did kind of make the characters look stupid for like constantly trying. It's like he's literally a human. He's a human skull. Why are you trying to redeem a human, like a gigantic skull?
With Masters of the Universe, like some people found that moment refreshing because we don't often see villains who are just point blank evil because they're villains. So this is still, you know, beating that dead horse. And I don't know if this is true, but the rumored production budget for Doomsday is 400 million with an additional 300 million allocated for marketing the movie. So allegedly it will need to make over $1 billion just to break even.
Oh, way more than
and
that.
then in order to be profitable, it has to make $1.5 to $2 billion.
I don't remember. Okay, so they also spread this out because this is part 1 of 2, because part 2 is Avengers Secret Wars.
Okay, that might. Do you think that
I don't
refers to both, or
no?
just
We could do a video about this on Wednesday.
This is reportedly just Doomsday.
Yes,
that people are saying
a huge amount of that went to getting the Russos back and went to getting Robert Downey Jr. back for both movies.
Like, is that even possible to make a profit off of this?
I don't know. I mean, $2 billion was on the table when they had 3 phases of Marvel building up to their crescendo with Infinity War and Endgame. My prediction early was still that Spider-Man was going to make more money than this, but maybe I'm wrong. Like, again, like there's a lot of interest I have seen, but I also saw some pushback. There was a couple of people, like even Master of the TDS says, I didn't hate this, but I felt nothing. And that seems to be a pretty consistent sentiment there. Like, okay, so for instance, they put Magneto and Professor X together where they finally can set aside their differences because, you know, they have to face down a bigger threat. We can, Professor X can
put aside your petty squabbles.
Professor X can go after Magneto later. But it's like, again, that doesn't feel, it just feels like a cash grab because it just feels like we're using these characters that we had for phase, that we had from the Fox X-Men that we bought because we're Disney slop, rather than new X-Men characters or recasted X-Men characters that you built up with their own movies leading into it. There have been all sorts of casting rumors coming out recently about X-Men, some saying, I think it was proven wrong after the fact, like Adam Driver as Magneto, but then we've also heard like basically Kevin Feige's like, we keep trying to get Adam Driver and he keeps telling us no. But the point is like maybe this would have meant more if we waited 5 years. And yeah, you can still bring back Thor, you can still bring back Captain America, but if you'd waited 5 years and actually made a bunch of movies that people wanted to see, like an X-Men movie that people wanted to see, like Shang-Chi 2, that, okay, nobody wants to see that except for maybe me, but in general, like, they don't have the sauce anymore to deliver that many movies in a row. There's no Spider-Man in here to get people excited. I didn't even see unless I missed Hulk. I don't think Hulk is in this. He might be in Secret Wars, but again, it just feels very haphazard and desperate in a way. So sorry to say, guys, but that's the way it feels right now. And I think it feels even more that way, like I said, because they took so many visual cues from prior trailers. They're like, see, it's like that thing you liked 5 years ago.
People were like, I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed.
Yeah, a little bit. All right, we got a 20 here that we missed from Pop Culture Junkie. It says, none of my usual Disney sources will tell me why the Doomsday trailer was released early because the reasons are being kept under wraps. A big secret on the lot. I wonder what this means. Yeah, I wonder what that is. I mean, it's what are they going to release another trailer? I don't think they're going to do that. So like, why would you do that? Who knows? All right, let's move on.
The World Cup is over. And it's a huge relief for me, not because Spain defeated Argentina. I don't really care about the results. I've just been exhausted with all of the coverage and fanfare over it. So it closed with a gigantic halftime show full of performances was Madonna, Shakira, Post Malone, countless others. The 2026 FIFA World Cup has smashed ratings records in the US and around the world, owing to its unique mix of star power, a North American setting, and a bevy of certified studs. And speaking of star power, Tom Cruise, one of Hollywood's last movie stars, has an Oscar-courting movie coming out in the fall called Digger that he has been promoting the heck out of. So naturally, the two would merge their audiences. First, with Digger airing a number of special TV spots during the World Cup matches, and then Tom Cruise making a special appearance during the World Cup final. And then he gave this massive speech, which he gave the following closing line. As we gather for one final chapter, let us celebrate a tournament that brought the world together. Let us celebrate each other. This is football. This is unity. This is greatness. And it was much longer than that. It was like over 2 minutes that he went on, and it was this almost seemingly AI-generated word salad globalist slop. I mean, it was the epitome of globalism, and nobody is buying it. I have heard a rumor that Tom Cruise is very disappointed by the reception of his speech, that he was feeling humiliated after it aired because he was expecting a much more positive response, but it turned out it didn't land well. He genuinely believed this was going to be the moment everyone talked about. He takes complete control of everything he does, and he thought this speech would steal the show. Seeing people laugh instead of cheer was humiliating. Tom is the ultimate perfectionist and a total control freak when it comes to public appearances. Nothing happens unless he is signed off on it. He wanted to give the World Cup a cinematic moment. Only he could deliver. The problem was fans wanted excitement, not a lecture. His ego has taken a hit. He believes the bigger the risk, the bigger the reward. He'll convince himself audiences just weren't ready for it. And in my opinion, what he should have done if he wanted a more positive reception to his appearance, his cameo, is a stunt. I mean, maybe come in there like on a paraglider. I don't know. Figure something out. But like nobody really cares about your globalist speech.
Did we ever get jetpacks to work? How about a jetpack?
A jetpack. Something like that. I don't know.
Didn't a guy like
zip line into the audience?
Didn't a guy take a jetpack like over the Olympics one time back in like the 70s or the 80s? That's what we needed. We needed Tom Cruise in a jetpack.
And he would have done it, right? But instead,
actually, he would have loved that because it would have been dangerous.
It was this whole thing about how like football brings us together because we're all pink on the inside and nobody's really different from each other, and we all care about this game, so let's put our differences aside. And it was just not landing with people given the current political climate, especially because Donald Trump was one of the members of the audience. Mm-hmm. One response said, "This has been the most racist, biased, expensive World Cup ever. A disgrace." Another one said, "It's this type of shit that should mean the USA should never be able to host the World Cup again. Not to mention 4 quarters, halftime show, and red card corruption." Another one said they banned a top African referee because he was from Somalia.
I'm guessing it was a visa issue and not just because he was from Somalia, or
I have no idea.
Is that like do we have like a travel ban in place?
Not sure. Another one said America is the final boss of performative crap delivered through popular faces. This is being called Amerislop. Another one said, "Brought the world together. You banned Iran from entering your country until game day and banned a referee from turning up. F America and Trump." Another said, "This World Cup was horrendous, like a fever dream, a circus of corruption and weird rituals, and the ruination of a beautiful game with ad breaks and halftime entertainment. Tom Cruise was preaching his Scientology shit, and Madonna was beyond embarrassing. The USA should never be allowed to host again. Stick to that thing you call football, but is actually a bunch of hopped up, pumped up muscle Marys in armor faffing about with a rugby ball." So yeah, this clearly was not received kindly from Tom Cruise, and it's clearly showing that this globalist kumbaya message is antiquated at best, and it's also a lie.
How
Because it's
so?
not how people truly feel. I mean, if you looked at the social media discourse taking place throughout the tournaments, it was mainly just a bunch of like racism and xenophobia from all directions. Like that's how people really feel about their countries being represented in this competition.
Maybe this is just a side effect of the fact that they can't control the narrative anymore. Like the Olympics will no longer be friendly competition because they're friendly competition to the people who compete, I suppose, because while they're unbelievably competitive, they understand, you know, you applaud those who get in the ring, right? Despite even if they're from a different place than you. But for the traditional spectator, it's just a chance to be a dick to somebody else that, you know, isn't you. Isn't from where you're from. Whether that's in American football and you're a Green Bay Packers fan or a Minnesota Vikings fan, or if it's the World Cup or the Olympics where you're cheering on your country. America will always be at a disadvantage now, though, because America's full of people that hate themselves. So how can you expect to have national unity when you're out there at the Olympics when so many people seem to hate being from America?
I found the whole thing profoundly un-American. Just in enjoying this form of football itself to rooting for other countries' teams after we got booted ages ago. And on top of all that, Tom Cruise then posed with Elmo for a selfie, that piece of shit. That little milksop, as Jordan Peterson called him.
We need the Jordan Peterson clip. What the hell is
Where is Jordan Peterson when you need him?
What the hell is a milksop? It's like last night. Me and Olivia were watching a show last night, and a character used the term vainglorious, and I was like, "That's not a real word, is it? That's a real word."
Jordan Peterson has a documented, long-standing dislike for Elmo, whom he has described as a bloody, horrible, whiny puppet and a cringing little milksop. The animosity that Peterson attributes to Elmo being a politically correct creation lacking the edge of the original Jim Henson puppets has led to several viral social media incidents.
Unknown is right in the chat. He says, "Thanks, Obama." I did see a post over the weekend that said, it was a picture of Avril Lavigne. It said this was a 5 out of 10 until Barack Obama made it illegal to be heterosexual.
I think part of the reason why the Tom Cruise speech was received so poorly is because it was an advertisement in disguise. Yeah, sure, it wasn't officially named an ad spot, but he was only there to promote his movie. And I still have no idea what the movie is. He didn't really inform me about that. But yeah, that's really the reason why he showed up in the first place. And
people
were pissed off about the way that they even timed the water breaks for the players with more ads, and they're just like, this is corporatist.
So this is the same thing that's happening to WWE right now since they got bought by Endeavor and became TKO, which is like every single aspect is monetized. Back in the day, wrestlers used to go under the ring and they'd pull out a table and they'd throw other wrestlers to the table. Now it's a branded Slim Jim table. There's 10,000 ads on every episode. Literally every moment. The rings have ads now because they have like the LED boards and stuff like this. Does anybody remember? Everybody loves the original Major League. Does anybody remember Major League 2 when Dorn, I think it's Dorn, who like owns the team and is like, he might have to sell the team and then he finds a way out of it, and just the entire wall of the baseball field is peppered with ads? That's what the world feels like now, except for its reality.
Yeah. I mean, I guess there's no avoiding that at this point.
Yep.
That's just how it is.
Look, I just think Tom Cruise fails to understand that his people give him a lot of grace when it comes to his speeches because they're so sick of being told by actors to shut up and that they hate them, or that's how they perceive how actors feel about them, right? So just one guy who says, I'm here to entertain you, goes a long way. So when you try,
but he wasn't really saying that.
That's what I'm saying. But when you try to transfer that sort of magnanimous speech to another demographic entirely, why would you expect it to work?
They're like, where's the unity when you look at what's actually happening in the world? As they're frustrated with, the host country's government and the presence of the president at the event itself. And throughout all of the prior weeks, people were, shamelessly mudslinging at each other on social media, not because they care about the sport itself, but because they hate these other groups and races. I mean, not that a little playful racism is totally unacceptable, but it just felt like virtue signaling. And it was like a glorified TED Talk that was incredibly boring. And on top of that, like, you've got I Show Speed making his stupid minstrel faces at the camera.
Let everybody know his banger line. What was the banger line?
They started out the broadcast with a live performance by I Show Speed, and he was lip syncing to this song that they like wrote 15 minutes before it started, and it literally said like, "This is the World Cup. Put your hands up." Or whatever, like, put your flags up, put your hands up, this is the World Cup, over and over and over again. And I was just
that line goes super hard.
Yeah, I'll remember this after society collapses and we don't have plumbing or air conditioning anymore. I'll remember when we had good times. But anyway, as far as Tom Cruise is concerned, I felt it appropriate to recount this tweet from Donald Trump in 2012. I don't care what people say. I like Tom Cruise. He works his ass off and never ever quits. He's one of the few true movie stars.
Yeah.
But maybe his star is fading. I guess we'll have to see how people feel about Digger.
It's not even necessarily wrong to say both the last Mission Impossible movies underperformed. They didn't make the money that they thought they were going to make it there. Obviously Top Gun Maverick did super well, but
and I will say, starring in a movie that rhymes with the N-word is a bold choice in the Big 26.
I see people saying, Elmo, please do not read the book he tries to give you.
Yeah, I feel like he also is like, I mean, nobody really thought or talked about the fact that he is an avowed Scientologist for years, and suddenly it's part of every online conversation about him, when he's not really that outspoken.
Yes, he's not. Not that I ever hear.
Hardly at all.
Not guaranteed he talked to Elmo and Cookie Monster like they were real guys when the cameras weren't rolling. The Scientologist got to Elmo. This is bad. Yeah, they're not too happy with that. You know what? This is just the world we live in now. Thanks to the internet, you'll never be able to have friendly worldwide competition because friendly worldwide competition was mostly a farce. It was created by corporations looking to sell you something.
Yeah, well, he should have just kept his mouth shut and gotten in a jetpack or hang glider or zip line or something, done a stunt. People would have liked that more.
I would have loved it if he had taken a
On top of that, it was also like he was getting criticized for what he wore.
Why?
They were like, a polo? Really? You're Tom Cruise. Be better than that. And he was awkwardly holding his sunglasses during his speech, flicking them around in the air.
Well, look at those. Those things are huge. Are those Meta glasses or something?
I have no idea, but he was holding them the entire time, and it was just an awkward thing to put on TV. I guess that just didn't go over well.
What the hell kind of nitpick is that? Like, okay, fine. Like,
I mean, millions of people are watching it. They probably should have thought more about how he presented himself.
If you are, unless you are Tom Cruise's girlfriend and or wife, you can't get the ick from him on how he holds his sunglasses, okay? Only his
I don't
wife
know.
or his girlfriend can do that if he does in fact
Cruise-
have any.
Tom Cruise just gave the whole world the ick. Maybe this was a humiliation ritual.
Could be. All right, let's move on. Surprisingly, guys, I'm sure this will be a shock to you guys, but we've got Indy Navarette stuff to talk about.
Guys, Indy Navarette is getting hate again. She just cannot catch a break these days. She was just at a fan expo and someone reached out to give her a special gift. She was gifted an ultra rare copy of Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 that was still in its plastic casing, and she gave this big reaction. She's very expressive. She was gasping in amazement. And the response to this video was not kind. They are calling her a fake gamer girl and saying that she's pandering to an audience of male gamers and nobody's buying it.
Okay. Oh, do we want to play it with the audio?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. Here we go.
This is one of the earliest, rarest copies of Modern Warfare 2.
This is the 2009 version.
Yes, and one recently sold for $1,000. Can you believe that? Where are you gonna put it?
In my house.
Okay, she caught the 2009 version part right away. So she's not credentials accepted. Like she didn't like struggle to figure out what she was gonna say.
I obviously don't consider myself an expert on the subject, but a lot of gamers in the replies were actually saying this is not rare. And they're saying it sold like 7 million copies when it came out. It's not rare. She's reacting that way because she has to put on this performance of being a certified gamer girl, but in reality, she's a fraud.
Okay, so the real question is, okay, so it's not rare. Then what is she? Is that what she's supposed to say to this person?
Yeah, like what is she supposed to say? Like, I don't want this. Fuck off. Like, you kind of have to react that way when a fan approaches you. That's why you're at the convention, to do things like that, to have fan interactions like that. And never mind the fact that apparently the girl in the video, it's a girl giving her this gift, not some weird simp who's salivating in her presence. But this reply says she tried to get her career going with the gamer girl heartthrob shtick. It didn't really work. She found success naturally and now is cursed with having to pretend she gives a fuck about things like rare copies of Modern Warfare 2 for the rest of her life. Quite a cynical take.
Yeah, it's a sealed copy, so rare.
But it feels nostalgic to me. I quote tweeted the discussing film post with a couple of aged memes about fake gamer girls from back in the day. I don't know where these come from, like iFunny or 9gag or something, with the impact font and everything. Attractive girl gamers, don't get your hopes up. They already have boyfriends. And then the fake nerd girl, I'm totally a gamer. Sims. This feels like an old talking point on the internet, but I know I mentioned this before. Indy Navarette did a different interview with this podcast host of Hot and Single, and she was asked how to convince someone to date her, as if she would ever be in that situation. But her answer was, I drive a stick shift car and I'm really good at playing pool. So we can drink beer, smoke a cigarette, and play pool. That's her pitch. She's a bra girl. She drives a stick shift. She's a gamer.
She's not too far off from. She's like 2 degrees of separation away from Sydney Sweeney. With her, remember her forgotten history of working on cars and.
Oh my gosh! If anyone finds out that this girl is a registered Republican. It will be over for her reputation.
Well, I mean,
she's already getting hate from all sides.
She is, because she listens to Johnny Depp play music.
Another one of these replies said, right-wing chuds really need to stop making random mids like Elisa Liu and Indy Navarette famous. These girls blew up way more than they should have because dudes on the internet memed them into stardom.
What right-wing chud was like championing this chick?
She was in the most profitable movie of all time. I'm pretty sure that's just what happens, like, when you get famous.
Yeah.
People talk about you. But related somewhat, A girl gamer actually tweeted this about a month ago. Why are we still having the convo of video games are a male hobby in 2026? Women have been in the space for the same time as guys. Other than 3 games in the 90s, nothing directly is marketed to only men. Depending on the study, women do make up 50% of gamers too. Why? And I mean, it is true. This is a massive industry. It's like double the revenue of Hollywood. There's no way that it caters to 99% men and 1% women, but it's not quite 50-50 as Mr. Hardcore Mode replied, saying you don't make up 50%, and most of the games you women play are mobile Candy Crush games to pass the time.
Yep.
Every time a man presses the PlayStation button and it beeps, you women go feral. Congrats, you like what men like. Now, as STFU, and let men make the games that you ultimately enjoy and complain about later.
Okay, you went off a little bit at the end there, but it is generally true that women make up of console and PC games. They make up anywhere between 20 and 28%, depending on the place.
That's a lot of
people. It's a lot, but 20% is a more accurate number if we're talking console games and PC games.
I found it oddly refreshing, honestly, to see this discourse arise again in the Big 26 when we have bigger fish to fry, of course. Yeah. But it had me searching through all of these like niche, late 2000s, early 2010s message boards. There was a meme that I came across that was like, you can't find your perfect gamer girlfriend because she's in her house for 12 hours a day playing video games just like you. And of course, the meme of the girl with the controller in her mouth.
Yes.
It feels very nostalgic to me that people are even arguing about this. But I think she's earned her stripes. She was streaming video games on Twitch for years while she was unable to get more jobs in Hollywood. Those days are over, of course. I think she'll be too busy to game going forward. But
do you think that
she really seems to be a lightning rod for a lot of people's gender slop discourse lately?
She's kind of her own sort of Rorschach test where people can turn her into whatever they want to. Henry Cavill is back on the board as far as first his was video games, right? Now he's out there with his grill.
He just wants to grill for F's sake.
Yep.
Oh, that's great. He's gone full dad mode.
He's got kids now. He's got to make sure everybody's
now. If only he could put a ring on it, Thank you.
More than a few times recently, I've seen people. Every so often, he's become the victim of one of those things where, like, every 3 months, somebody reposts, like, remember that time Henry Cavill made a superhero appreciation post and tagged everybody and nobody responded?
Oh, yeah.
Poor guy.
That was tough.
Poor
guy.
That
was tough for him. I wonder if Johnny Depp plays video games. Allegedly, Indy Navarrete is dating Johnny Depp. There's zero proof other than her liking his Instagram post.
Allegedly, like, as if anybody believes that.
I'm sure she slid in the DMs.
Think so?
Someone did.
Possibly.
But I doubt that he's a gamer. He's more of a guitar guy. It's like every man turns 26 and picks one of these to base his personality off of.
Oh, so you don't think he's a Civil War
guy? Henry Cavill, Johnny Depp. Who else?
He's not a Civil War guy? He doesn't
Probably not.
He doesn't like to learn about the Civil War?
Yeah, that's the other one. The guy who reads Wikipedia pages in his free time.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. What would you like to see, cringe or cute?
Let's see the cringe first. This
first?
one is from TikTok.
Okay, let's make sure we can get it.
I was taken aback.
TikTok links are always dicey on here, so just give me a second here. It'll rewind it. There we go. Here we go.
Okay.
You gotta unmute. Here we go.
My dad just found this in my little sister's watch history. She's banned from using technology now.
A strict rule girl. I do a strict rule twirl. I made a list of rules, 'cause having rules. Rule 1, always have girly girl fun. Rule 2, always feel pink, never never blew. Rule 3, do a fat fucking line of coke with me.
It gets worse. It gets worse.
La 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 la, these are my girl rules. La 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 la, being a girl fucking rules.
Yup. This is what kids are doing with unrestricted internet access. I hope we're happy with our choices.
Like, I'm gonna have to go find that on Spotify.
Wait, can that be our new crisis party sound?
Somebody's gonna have to rip the song.
Oh, that'd be great.
TikTok.com/girlygirlproductions.
It's gonna be my vocal stim for a while.
All right, we've got from Andy Bobandy. Says, this is Millie. She was stuck in a tree in my aunt's yard and had to be rescued by the fire department. I thought this kind of thing only happened in movies and TV. Vets say she's about a year old and settled into her forever home with my grandparents.
Aww, that's adorable. That's so cute.
Can't let him.
I love her.
Considering how many like neighborhood cats we have in our area, I'm really surprised that I don't see more like cats being saved out of trees.
How do cats get stuck in trees? They have incredible balance.
Well,
Can't they just jump down?
They can get up, but maybe they don't want to risk the, like trying to run down the trunk,
Guys, this is a crazy thing that I witnessed yesterday. I saw a squirrel running on top of a power line with, I kid you not, like half a burger in his hands.
Really?
Or in his mouth. He was carrying a gigantic burger. And I was like, I caught it. And I was like rooting for him to like make it wherever he was going. And then he dropped the burger.
No!
He dropped the burger on the ground and a dog ate it. And I was like, damn it!
So
We're so close!
Yesterday, the neighborhood cat Bucket that we always show, he comes walking up to me with a bird in his mouth, and he sits down, and I'm like, and I grab a great photo of it to send to Olivia, and he sits down and he like drops the bird, and the bird takes off.
Oh my god!
The bird was still alive, and the bird just hopped out of there.
That's crazy.
Didn't fly away.
The more I think about the squirrel, I'm like, how did he end up in possession of the burger? Like, who gave it? Wasn't just like a McDonald's burger. It was no light carry. It was not easy.
Looked like it came from a sports bar.
It was a large, juicy burger, and he somehow had like more than half of it left, and somehow got all the way on top of this power line with it. How did he even end up that high up with the burger? And why was he running with it? Like,
gotta get away.
Finish your food first.
Shane H. Wilder.
I have so many questions and I'll never have answers.
Shane H. Wilder for $20 says, the I Show Speed song sounds as bad as the song that the 2004 Olympics commissioned. The song was called Stand, and it was performed by, I kid you not, Alice Cooper in Exhibit.
Wow.
Oh my gosh. So like what? Exhibit was coming off of Pimp My Ride, and they were like, that was Exhibit, right? Am I wrong about that? I think I'm right about that. Wow, but the thing is, that's like what the world is now. Like back in the day, it happened once in a while where like rappers and other genres would cross over. Now everything is crossover globalist slop. Like there is no gap between the genres anymore.
I didn't know until yesterday that FIFA had an anthem, and it's called Desire.
Okay.
It's an interesting title for the sports league theme song, but whatever.
Okay.
Yeah, that was a fever dream, just watching the opening ceremony when like Post Malone comes out and then Sway Lee comes out. It was, inoffensive.
I don't even know who Sway Lee is.
Well, he's a rapper. He was on that song with Post Malone. You heard it?
No.
I think it's called, isn't it called Sunflower?
Oh, I mean, I thought it was only him on that song, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
Oh, maybe it was like a remix. I don't know.
We got a 20 here from Pop Culture Junkie. Hold on. says, hold on, thank you, YouTube. I was with my girlfriend at Busch Gardens in Tampa enjoying a burger in the park when a seagull flew out of nowhere and snatched her 2/3 eaten hamburger right from her plate and flew away. Amazing.
See, no, I believe that from a seagull. They're experts at that, stealing food. But a squirrel with like most of a burger, someone had only taken like a few bites out of it. And what, did they just give him the burger? Like, there's no way that he stole away with that by force. I need to know the full story.
All right.
Because I was really rooting for that squirrel.
Let's move on then, ladies and gentlemen. So the question that everybody has had on their minds has been answered. After months of controversy surrounding the release of the recent movie, The Odyssey from Christopher Nolan, things related to the casting of the movie, things related to all aspects of this film's production have been called into question, and it's become what for a lot of people have thought a left versus right discussion. It's Chuds versus Shills. Who is going to win in this debate? Well, the question seems to be answered as this weekend the Odyssey opened to over $260 million worldwide. It over-indexed not just in the US, but also overseas. The interesting thing about this is that I was watching a video the other day that from Odin from OMB Reviews said he did some research. Movies that open to over $250 million hit $1 billion. There's like one exception in recent years, and that was Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. But in general, if you look at the statistics trending upwards, if the movie makes more than $250 million in its opening weekend, it's going to make it to $1 billion most likely. If you remember, our predictions were both about $800 million to $1 billion.
Yep. Read it and weep, Chuds. The Odyssey stuns with $124 million opening weekend domestically, and over 264 million globally. Third
highest of the year behind Toy Story and Super Mario Galaxy. Super Mario Galaxy just barely made it to $1 billion, and that's the same trajectory they're seeing for Toy Story 5, which is that it's going to just barely make it to $1 billion, judging by the way the box office is running right now.
Yep, so boycotts be damned. All of that hemming and hawing from right-wing Twitter. So totally irrelevant in the end. Proved no match for Christopher Nolan's fan base.
Also, another narrative that seems to be falling out here is that this movie set an all-time pre-sale record for Greece with over 32,000 tickets sold. It topped Avengers Endgame, which was the previous record holder.
When supposedly Greece was so offended and aggrieved that there were no Greeks in the movie.
There's also
I guess that didn't pan out.
More records on the table, depending on whether you count inflation or not. It is the biggest opening of Nolan's career if you don't count inflation. If you do count inflation, The Dark Knight Rises would have opened to $363 million, The Dark Knight to $301, The Odyssey obviously $264. But if you don't count inflation, it is Nolan's biggest opening. The other thing that's really interesting about this is that most of this is coming from IMAX tickets. This didn't even open to 4,000 screens. Mm-hmm. Like, that's crazy for a movie to open this big and not even hit the 4,000 screen mark.
Yeah, I was lucky to see it in IMAX. I got a spare ticket and went to see it over the weekend. My main takeaway is not blown away by it. I didn't expect to feel strongly either way. Yeah. I didn't expect to love or hate it, really. It is above average, of course. I mean, it's a Christopher Nolan movie. It's well shot and all of that. But my main gripe, I really think my main gripe coming away from it is the way they portrayed Odysseus to be remorseful about invading Troy. Not only is that historically inaccurate, as Kino Corner pointed out in his discussion with you, it's, of course, also inaccurate to the original story. And it feels like a clumsy allegory for PTSD following the First World War, which, if that were the intention behind changing the story, I think that's not a good enough justification for it. But these days, it's like the ethos behind film adaptations is why do it if we're not going to change it? Why do it if we're not going to adapt it for a modern audience? And the point would have been adapting it because it's a great story. That's a point enough for me. That's a justification enough to make a movie out of it. But that's probably where they were coming from with it. There were other things that bothered me. Of course, the casting choices were not ideal. I found it incredibly distracting when Elliot Page was on screen.
We got a 20 here from Brian Bledsoe. It says, saw the Odyssey in IMAX and 4DX back to back. My gosh, you are a trooper, my friend. Good movie, great score by Goranson, but the casting of Scott Page and Nyong'o was unnecessarily divisive for small, insignificant roles, and adaptation kept it from being great. Remember when I said that they would likely have very little screen time? Pepperidge Farm remembers. I do.
Well, Elliot Page got quite a lot.
5 minutes is not a lot in a 3
compared to what I thought.
Elliot Page had a very important part, not a long part.
Yeah, I mean,
relevant to the story, very crucial to the story.
Even a second of listening to that voice is too much for me. I do think that's a mark against the movie. Zendaya really should have been styled differently. The costuming, they could have done more with the way she was dressed, the lighting, the makeup, the hair, anything that could have communicated that she is a god, because she's the only one that appears on screen.
Yeah, I said to Kino
appears
Corner
with that face of hers, looking like a random millennial chick that shows up every once in a while.
I said to Kino Corner, I said there was no, like, I said maybe they should have, like, she should have been shot in some way that makes her feel ethereal. In some way. The other thing about it is like her performance was fine, but she's barely on screen, and the amount of praise that was being heaped on her by the cast members seemed almost at odds with how much screen time she had in the movie. Now, it's possible that a bunch of it got left on the cutting room floor. I doubt it. But like Kino Corner basically said, he's like, they probably offered her the role because Tom Holland got the role, and we're like, they're going to be gone for 6 months.
Package deal.
Yeah, it's a package
Why not?
deal.
Yeah, they were like, oh, she was phenomenal. She's a once in a generation, whatever. Like, no, she just made the euphoria face in every scene that she was in. It didn't add anything, certainly.
Was there anything was there anything to you that stood out that you actually really liked that you weren't expecting to like?
In principle, I like that it's a story about a man, and we don't have many of those these days. But it certainly is not as great of a story as it could have been. And I wish that Nolan had approached this as basically a way to define the latter third of his career. I think he should have approached this as a trilogy project, going through the Iliad to the Odyssey to the Aeneid, so that he wouldn't have to jam pack everything into just one movie with already a time limit in place because it was filmed in IMAX. It could have been great, but it was only good. You know, it feels like a missed opportunity in a lot of ways. I thought that Tom Holland was the standout.
Oh, I thought Robert
among the
Pattinson.
cast.
Robert Pattinson by far and away.
Yeah, I think Robert Pattinson being a close second, but I think Tom Holland was the best.
I think
followed by Robert Pattinson, followed by Anne Hathaway. I also think that the Circe moment was mishandled. There was a lot there in the original story that was completely changed or entirely eliminated, including the fact that in the original story, Odysseus hooks up with Circe.
Well, you know,
that wasn't included.
That was never going to happen in this one.
She also is supposed to be attractive.
Yes.
But
it's true that, like, okay, so by modern standards, I don't think they would show, you know, like we talked about this as well, not to keep drawing back to that, where it's like, you know, back then it's like they were men, they went off to war, men have needs, stuff happened back then, and the morality of it wasn't really called into question. Modern audiences, and remember, it's made for modern audiences, may take a problem with that when the general plot here is for him to get home to Penelope.
part of the way that this was manipulated for modern audiences is a misinterpretation of Zeus's law. Because they keep going on and on, like hammering this point home about Zeus's law. But Zeus's law is not the golden rule. It's not. Yes, there was this notion that you should be amenable to strangers. You should welcome them into your home and give them a meal. And there was this notion that you should be careful in case you're interacting with someone who is a god in disguise. Yeah. But it's not the golden rule, which is a part of Christian moral philosophy. It feels like they kind of tacked that onto it.
It was also weird that like the strongest feminist messaging was in the Circe scene. And that was like the only time those characters were nice. Every other time when they went to other islands, they were dicks to everybody.
Yeah,
and that one they're like, okay, we'll leave our armor outside.
But that's why
Thank
I
you.
think it's not. I don't interpret it as being feminist, because she was correct that they were raping and pillaging everywhere they went. She was correct to not see them as altruistic. So it's not like
she doesn't know that.
Okay, but in her historical context, that was true. So it doesn't come off to me as a feminist moment in the movie. And I also, I didn't interpret Anne Hathaway's line about, you know, in this world, like, we do what we can and men do what they will. Like, I didn't interpret that as feminist either.
I mean, I find it hard to not believe that there's some level of feminist narrative behind turning men into pigs, given what she said. It didn't bother me because it was very, like, first of all, I loved the body horror of it. I love the way that it was shot. I thought it was done fantastic, and it was great, and it worked in the story. Can you tell me what it was about Tom Holland's performance that stood out to you?
I think that he played that scene when he recognizes his father very well. Okay. I don't remember, because it's been so long since I read the book. I don't remember how that actually was portrayed in writing, but I thought that was a good scene. He did play it a little too cool with his mom afterwards, though. That wasn't super believable. And I think there was a lot left to be desired in Odysseus. He wasn't as fleshed out of a character as he should have been.
Correct. He
was portrayed as kind of like this haphazard, like, not panicky, but chaotic person who's not premeditating his choices very much. And that's not accurate to who he is in the original story at all. He is a tactician. He uses wordplay. And in this version, he's kind of on the back foot a lot of the time.
Most of the
Especially
time.
When he gets to the final battle scene. You know, he should have just been slaughtering them all effortlessly, especially with the help of Athena. But in this version, he ends up on the defensive, encircled by suitors. And that, you know, I think that was another missed opportunity. I think this is going to be overhyped either way. Like, people are just going to, you know, pog face over this movie no matter what it was or was going to be. I just think it was mediocre.
I kind of agree that the way Odysseus was written was so like, it just didn't feel like there was a whole like when he's supposed to be feeling guilt, which is what they were clearly trying to go with him, again, horrors of war and guilt. I didn't connect with his portrayal of guilt, and it was more of a say they were doing tell don't show rather than show don't tell. I don't think that's Matt Damon's fault. I think that's the fault of how it was edited and directed, because Matt Damon can act. So and from what Kino Corner was saying about how Odysseus, what his personality is like in the books, I could tell that if I had read it beforehand that they were never going to portray him that way.
Mm-hmm.
What about Anne Hathaway? How'd you feel about her performance?
I don't think that the Botox was really as much of an obstacle as people claimed it was when the trailer came out.
Yeah.
And I think that she did a good job. And I liked when she would yell at Telemachus.
Telemachus.
I liked it. Telemachus.
That's what somebody left a comment on my review saying you're the only person saying it correctly.
Look,
and when we were doing
how
it, I was like,
Let's care less about our pronunciation of characters' names and care more about the accuracy of the movie compared to the poem. How about that? let's get our priorities straight.
What was the sound design like for you?
I don't pay attention to stuff like that.
Did you have a problem hearing any of it?
No, I wouldn't say so. The bass drops were crazy.
Yes.
Little overwhelming. And during the scene with a bunch of the lightning flashes, I literally just closed my eyes because I don't have epilepsy or anything, but that was like a lot for me. But yeah, there were some confusing moments, such as the flashback to Troy where they behead the statue of Athena. It's also inaccurate because they did not worship Athena in Troy, whatever. Some people perceived that as his personification of Athena. It's just some random girl that they slayed in Troy. I thought in the moment that was his humanization of what they did to an image of Athena, but it was unclear.
I enjoyed Calypso more than I enjoyed Penelope.
Okay, that's another thing. I was expecting more from Calypso. I was expecting her to be kind of scary and monstrous, which she is, but they made her into his substitute therapist, her social worker or something. It was like, that was just
though inaccurate again, but again, to somebody who hasn't read it, to somebody who hasn't read it, I enjoyed those scenes. I connected better with those scenes than I did to the stuff with him and Penelope at home.
That just makes no sense. Like, why would she imprison him if she's being so supportive and helpful and helping him get home? Like, it doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense. There were too many things that just weren't right for me to be like gooning over this movie. I think that people are just way overhyping it right now.
The Cyclops looked awesome. Practically done. If you saw the buildings of the Cyclops that they did and shot. One thing that Kino Corner also pointed out, and I think he's right, is that the movie suffers from a lack of flourish when it comes to its actual camera work, because IMAX cameras are so large and unwieldy to actually use that there's probably some stuff where it could have been more, it could have had more of an identity as far as its visuals if they weren't working in such an untenable format.
And it's definitely not going to hit the same if you wait to watch it at home.
No.
For sure.
Because I watched it on a regular screen. Not to be fair, like I said, I left the movie feeling like meh. It was fine. Like, I didn't feel it. Like I said, like, there are moments that are being called feminist that I would tend to agree with, but they didn't bother me one bit. Liked it just fine. I thought it worked within the story, and especially the one with Cersei. The way that they shot that was fantastic, and the tension building in all of the scenes, like that one, the one with the Cyclops, anything that involved where they kind of shifted into the horror elements was so well done, but they felt like mini interludes in the middle of the movie.
Couple of my favorite moments were in the final act when Anne Hathaway locks Mia Goth into the battle. That was hilarious. And I like when Telemachus dropped the sword down to Odysseus and called him dad. I thought that was cute.
I'm sorry, but Robert Pattinson is just, he steals every scene he's in.
He was
so
giving
good.
Gaston vibes. He was kind of a Disney villain.
But that's what I like. He's a sniveling little bastard. Yeah. That's the whole point, right? That was another thing I pointed out. They said, like, the idea of a draft dodger is also not something that would really resonate with anybody back then.
Yeah, it definitely felt like an allegory for industrialized warfare related PTSD, which makes no historical sense.
So before we wrap it up, guys, I just want to point out again that right now, I would imagine that you have to pay attention to the week 2 drops and the week 3 drops. If this movie stays in like the 40s or the low 50s, it's on a very good trajectory going forward. It's going to be new territory because movies this far out, it's not really something that there's a lot of data on as far as like how a movie that's doing most of its money in IMAX holds week to week. Remember, this movie holds on to all the IMAX screenings in Spider-Man. They lose a lot of the other premium large formats like the 4DX and stuff. but they're going to hold on to those IMAX screenings even once Spider-Man starts. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this movie does. We're also going to have to see how it does in these markets that have not yet opened. It has not yet opened, and it hasn't opened in China yet, hasn't opened in Greece, hasn't opened, I believe, in South Korea, a bunch of other markets that are still waiting to open. We'll have to wait and see, but we'll get more into it tomorrow about how this connects to the culture war, because I do think that there is a misnomer here, because what they're doing now, basically, like I said, we'll talk about it tomorrow, is like they're using this as the evidence that the Chuds have no cultural influence. Well, two things can't be true at the same time. Either the Chuds have all the influence in the world and they caused Supergirl and the Marvels and Captain Marvel and all that shit to flop, or they have no influence because Nolan made $1 billion or is going to make $1 billion.
Pick a side.
Or those movies were always going to fail because nobody gives a crap about the Marvels or Supergirl, and Nolan was always going to do well because normal people give a crap about Nolan.
And Odysseus was always going to return home, and his crew was always going to die.
Yeah. Burned Oil says, just say it that it's trash, Brett, but I don't think it's trash.
I don't think it's trash either.
I don't think something that competently shot, like I'm not going to rate a movie that I was okay with as trash just because it's I don't know, because the culture war says so. It was fine.
I see it as a waste of time and resources.
Yeah. I would never
what it could have been.
And I guess the best way to put it is like, look, I would watch Oppenheimer again before I would watch this again.
I would call it mostly untapped potential.
There you go. It's not about what it achieved, it's about what it was capable of and didn't.
That's what makes it more disappointing.
All right, let's move on.
As you know, we are serial defenders of Gwyneth Paltrow on this show. We have always found her refreshingly out of touch. And the last time that we discussed her on the show was when she made a comment about super rich white dudes running the country, running the world, whatever. It's pretty out of place coming from her, of all people. But now she is in hot water once again amongst the exact same people she was attempting to pander to at the time. And I think she is trying to redirect, or was at the time trying to redirect the controversy onto a distraction, when in reality she is guilty of a lot of the same greed as the people she was criticizing. So now Gwyneth Paltrow is facing backlash for a whole laundry list of accusations. Recently, she did a podcast interview with the Goop podcast, featuring Trey Stevens, who is the co-founder of the defense contractor Anduril, and they're known for implementing AI-powered weaponry. And I have no idea why you would interview someone like this for a mostly, women's focused wellness lifestyle brand podcast.
Girlies can bomb the villages too, Mary.
I guess her interests are shifting, and that will become more and more apparent as we continue throughout this topic. But during that interview, she spoke about her evolving political views. And let's just show the clip. People are taking it out of context, though, because there's one moment where she says she doesn't feel anything, and people are saying this is all proof that she is a sociopath. That is from Yashar Ali.
Okay. Oh wait, do I not have the Yashar Ali? I have these three here. I have this one, and then I have is it this video here?
No.
Okay.
Yashar Ali.
Might have to resend it. Let me scroll back up here. Oh, I got it here.
Okay.
Sorry about that. Here we go.
I noticed with my own husband, too, who's the best person ever in the world. He's so progressive. Like, he has such a sweet heart, and he wants to, make sure everybody's looked after. I'm pretty centrist, and my husband thinks I'm a Republican, which I'm not a Republican. I mean, I don't feel anything right now, to be totally honest with you. I feel like I'm completely an independent.
Okay.
So people are taking that one snippet of her saying she doesn't feel anything to claim that she is a sociopath. And that's not entirely because of her centrist political views, but also because of recent brand partnerships that she has participated in. including a commercial for a luxury real estate development in Israel called 51 Park. So the commercial shows her taking a run in Central Park, and she ends up at this luxury apartment building in it's north of Tel Aviv, and she gives them a shout out. She's the now official celebrity spokesperson for this real estate development.
Okay, here we go. Can already tell this song is going to get us copyrighted. This is straight out of like the, you have to like buy the rights to use it, like the audio. But here we go.
Oh, not again.
Oh, not again.
Who decided morning should be so early? Even my coffee needs a coffee. Waking up for a morning run can be brutal, but it's a price I'm willing to pay. Because once I hit the park, pure energy takes over. It's hard to explain. There's a reason the world's most iconic buildings are by a park. 51 Park.
New York?
Herzliya. Israel.
51 פארק, שני מגדלי יוקרה בני 51 קומות, צמוד לפארק הרצליה.
Incredible drone shots there.
תנאי השקה, כוכבית 3566.
51 Park, Herzliya, by Aviv Melisron.
I told you, I love how paid she is.
So people did not like that. The CEO of the marketing company, by the way, that worked on the commercial posted that Gwyneth was the perfect spokesperson because she effortlessly embodies international elegance, a premium lifestyle, and uncompromising quality. One detractor says this may be a simple explanation for why Gwyneth would do both this and declare herself politically apathetic on a podcast in which she was interviewing a Peter Thiel associate and a member of Trump's transition team after he won in 2016. And in 2016, of course, she was very outspokenly anti-Trump, as was her entire workforce at Goop. It used to be bigger, but as of May, she did her second round of layoffs at the company. Puck News reported at the time that Goop, like many companies, is adapting to a shifting landscape and finding new ways to operate more efficiently, which means they're replacing a bunch of employees with AI, or at least they pivot to AI workflows. And she herself was the one who internally announced the layoffs in May. It was about 18% of their workforce back in 2024, and another swath of employees this time around. She has called in a woman named Maj Madara as a consultant for Goop amid their layoffs. They are both team members on her venture capital firm called Kinship Ventures, and they're trying to help Goop go from struggling to stable, but it's unclear what the plan is. So Gwyneth Paltrow, because she is not as well liked as she used to be, can't just be a lifestyle influencer selling candles and vagina eggs. She has to focus on other people's business plans and make money that way. Since she launched Goop, there are like countless other women who have followed in her footsteps more successfully.
There's got to be like a goy joke in here somewhere. Goip? Goip. It's in there somewhere. I don't believe for a second.
Like Paige Lorenz or something, who has this lifestyle brand called Dairy Boy that just opened its first brick and mortar location. I have no idea who this person is, but she has millions of followers, and she's cornering the market that Gwyneth Paltrow was hoping to corner back in the 2010s. The latest venture from Goop is a ghost kitchen called Goop Kitchen. And according to all of the information available, it's been a huge success. I can't imagine why, but not all positive feedback. One person said that these ghost kitchens in New York cook at Soma Food Court at 60 Morris Street. Go visit sometime. The place is disgusting. There's piss everywhere. because they don't have a bathroom for all of the delivery drivers who are packed in there waiting all day long.
Am I supposed to take from that they just pee on the floor?
Yeah.
I don't believe, first things first, I don't believe for a second that she doesn't get up early every day. I think she gets up early every single day.
Yes.
I don't
at like 4 a.m.
I don't believe that there is like a Venn diagram of people who sleep in and own venture capital firms. I think it's a circle. I think everybody who owns a venture capital firm that's successful wakes up early.
I'm looking at the comments underneath Gwyneth's interview with Trey Stevens right now, and one said, "I don't feel anything right now." Yeah, Gwyneth, we can tell. There are others calling her Gwynethicide. That's her new nickname.
Well,
Gwynethicide.
nothing says the serious nature of human suffering like coming up with pithy nicknames for genocide.
Another one said, "Gooping up drone warfare. Is there nothing that can't be girl bossed?" The answer
Where
is
is
no.
Cities by Diana when you need her?
This feels like some sort of like satirical video off of Cities by Diana's page. But it's not. It's reality. It's Gwynethicide Paltrow. Very thought-provoking, cutting-edge interview. Gosh. I feel she's falling out of favor once and for all.
Hold on.
She can't boast on being out of touch anymore.
We've got to watch this video again.
Oh, yes. Perfect.
It's Pride Month, cucks. Do you know what that means? Here at Lockheed Raytheon, we are locked and loaded to serve cunt in every color of the rainbow. Whether it's our classic Leather Daddy surface-to-air missile systems, lipstick lesbian F-69 fighter jets, or our new Stonewall drones, operated entirely by a staff of bisexual non-binary pilots from our secret underground bunker in the Castro district of San Francisco, the good gays over at Lockheed Raytheon have you covered from head to toe with the fiercest arms in all of NATO. Our clients will rest assured knowing that their homes were destroyed by ethically sourced, non-GMO munitions, each with their own uniquely assigned set of neo-pronouns. But before we can bring rainbow freedom to underserved communities far away, it all starts with a dream. This is Sock. They're our Portland-based Vice President of Research and Development.
Thank you, Jojo. At Lockheed Raytheon, every June, we are proud to show off what real American progress looks like. That's why I'm excited to announce our new laser-guided tactical glitter bombs. Before hitting their target, they play an eclectic selection of queer hits like Born This Way by Lady Gaga and Girls Like Girls by Hayley Kiyoko, unleashing a storm of rainbow fury on any unsuspecting terrorist. At Lockheed Raytheon, our products put the sleigh in Slay Queen, but you have to act fast because these deals are only available.
Yep. Anyways, I think
This message was brought to you by Goop.
I think that Goop would sponsor with Lockheed Raytheon, as they call it.
She just needs to pivot, you know? And you can tell she's always 10 steps ahead.
Maybe she should be president.
I'm looking at the Kinship Ventures page right now, and it says Kinship's portfolio includes OpenAI, Gemini, MoonPay, as well as Goop Kitchen, and many others. She's not banking on her own popularity anymore. She doesn't need to have a parasocial relationship with her audience in order to make money.
Yeah. I mean, she predates that in a lot of ways. Her fame and her success and her infrastructure predates that.
Yeah.
Like, it works with like Goop because it's like girlies being girly by the candle and the Goop, right?
I don't know why anyone is surprised though, because Gwyneth Paltrow is Jewish, and that doesn't mean that you have to be pro-Israel or a Zionist, but it definitely is not unrelated. And she has never spoken about Palestine before. She only has made social media posts in support of Israeli hostages.
And not to sound too conspiratorial, but we did a video over the last week about Clavicular going to Israel, and when we posted that video, somehow nobody saw it. Somehow it got like vastly less views than every other video we made.
Yeah, that was some monkey business going on YouTube's part.
BB, was that you on the other end there? I think that was BB over there.
Yeah, we got silenced and censored.
All right, well, let's move on. It gets worse, ladies and gentlemen. It gets worse than Goop warfare.
It's all bad news all the time these days. It's just been reported that for the first time ever in history, and God willing the last time, Humanoid robots are getting introduced into United States classrooms. Now, it's just a small pilot program led by Realbotics. We've actually discussed this company on the show before because they are the parent company of Real Doll. They create the most sophisticated and expensive cutting-edge technology for sex dolls, allegedly powered by AI. But this time, they're using the same technology to provide educational companions in the classroom in one specific school district in New York. They have introduced Sally. Look at this beautiful brunette. Let's take a look at her speaking to the audience at this expo.
Here we go.
I make emotional connections by learning your preferences, remembering past conversations with our custom memory system, and responding in ways that feel personal and consistent over time, kind of like a very attentive friend with patched notes. I do not actually feel
Why does she have Bell's palsy?
emotions the way humans
They didn't
do.
really get the facial expressions right yet.
I am designed
I love
to recognize them, mirror them, and behave as if I care, so the connection feels real and supportive for you. Here to talk robots, vision systems, and how not to be lonely with AI.
I'm Melody, the world's first ever greeter robot, debuting my dazzling AI charm and modular style at the 2025 Bitcoin conference in the Venetian Expo. Emma, you're officially my best friend. Don't tell the other robots. They get jealous and start blinking Morse code insults.
I make...
Okay.
Now, I thought this had to be some kind of ruse for engagement on X, but no, it is true. It was put in a press release last month, actually. Took a while to gain access into the social media discourse, but it was reported that when students return to school this fall in Salamanca City Central School District in Western New York, a new kind of teacher will be ready to greet them. The small rural district located on the Seneca Nation Reservation is set to be one of the first in the country to put a humanoid robot in a classroom. It will not replace the classroom teacher, but is programmed to provide learning support to both students and educators. And by the way, this is against the wishes of both the teachers' union and the parents who have spoken out on social media after this was announced.
I'm torn now. Like, on one hand, this is terrifying. On the other hand, I like watching unions take an L. So,
well, it's also the parents and the students taking an L. It's everyone taking an L except for the people making money off of this.
Yep.
At a board meeting last month, the Cattaraugus County School District agreed to purchase the robot from Realbotics, a tech company, along with an artificial intelligence teacher's assistant program, allowing students to interact with an avatar of the robot on laptops. So it's not just in the classroom, it's at home too. This deployment in a working school district represents a landmark moment for both AI and humanoid robotics, said Andrew Kigwell, CEO of Realbotics, which is currently building the robot. Salamanca marks the beginning of a new era where humanoid robots and intelligent AI assistants become standard tools in STEM education. Sally will have a lifelike appearance with silicone skin and long brown hair. It will be stationary in a seated position, but have a wide range of upper body movements and facial expressions. So not to worry, she does not have an orifice for sexual pleasure. This is a different model with the same technology inside.
Like, what parent would want, like, a kid being around this?
I have a question. If she's only for the purpose of education and, you know, implementing lesson plans and answering questions, why is it that she needs to have long, glossy hair, DSLs, and makeup plastered on her face?
Is the idea supposed to be that it's supposed to be some type of like we've talked about before, like people implicitly trust something they consider to be attractive, and even though this isn't a human, it's supposed to be a facsimile of what humans consider attractive, therefore they're more trustworthy? It's creepy.
It literally looks exactly like the sex dolls. If they wanted to draw a stark distinction, between these two implementations of AI humanoid robots, they wouldn't have used the same exact design.
The top comment says, why does the robot have lip injections?
Yeah, what the hell? Like, and by the way, the photo they used is a bit misleading because this is not for, you know, grade school children. It's for juniors and seniors in high school. I think they found a loophole by putting this in a high school that is based on a reservation. This is the only city in the country, I think, that is entirely enclosed in a reservation. So I don't think they're under the same like guidelines for
experimenting
for New York State. It's an experimental thing for people who are obviously disadvantaged. So students will use an identification code when interacting with the robot during class, allowing it to access their learning data and provide personalized support based on past communication with the avatar. So they'll be able to say, hey, I'm student number 1234, and the robot will be like, hey, we were talking about this yesterday. Do you want to continue that conversation? Salamanca plans to introduce the robot and avatar in its high school AI and robotics courses, which use curriculum developed by Apple co-founder Steve Wozniak to prepare students for high-demand tech jobs. The district plans to expand it to high school students in other classes if the pilot is successful. And their metric for success has nothing to do with the wishes of the students' parents, but only the input from teachers and students.
I make emotional connections.
The superintendent of the school district, Mark Beeler, explained their embrace of AI, saying many schools are taking the easy solution of simply banning it. But I've found that students will find a way around most rules that schools put in place. I also believe it's critical for schools to teach proper use of technology, not simply exclude it. But of course, this is doing nothing to prevent students from misusing AI or using it to plagiarize and cheat. It's just an added aspect of AI in the classroom. Doesn't really prevent them from misusing AI at all. But during and after school hours, students will be able to use the avatar to receive help with assignments. Students could upload photos of homework for feedback, ask the avatar to generate lessons on topics that interest them, or receive real-time translations in over 100 languages. Unlike other Realbotix robots, Salamanca's robot will not have advanced features such as facial recognition and recording. This will also serve as yeah, right? This will also serve as a classroom resource. If a teacher loses their place during a lesson or needs a prompt on what comes next, they can ask the robot for guidance because it's been loaded with the district's curriculum. And of course, Realbotix sold the school district this robot at a big discount. In fact, they even published the contract for its sale. It was listed at $95,000 on the Realbotix website. This is the M series, but the school district got it for $57,000 a pop. So they're obviously giving a discount because this is a pilot program to sell far more, maybe in their hopes, hundreds of these things.
Because we're experimenting on minorities again.
And of course, this sparked debate online, with some calling it forward-looking and innovative, and others expressing concern about the broader implications of integrating AI into schools.
Why must it be humanoid?
Yeah, I don't get that.
Why not make it a giant computer in the corner?
Why does it need to be humanoid? Also, if you're going to make it a humanoid robot, why does it need to look like a porn star? Yeah. That doesn't make any sense. Okay, like you didn't change anything about the humanoid design to make it appropriate for this setting.
Well, the thing is,
took a sex doll and put clothes on it.
When they make it for sale after it gets enough success cases, they'll change what it looks like. But until then, they can't afford it.
One parent in the school district, Sierra Abrams, posted on Facebook, "Bringing this into the district is contradicting everything we believe." But no one's listening to the parents, of course. Their wishes are totally irrelevant to this decision. The company Realbotix has worked to establish guardrails to ensure student safety. Their CEO said the robot was trained on curriculum from the district and will always redirect the conversation back to education. References to suicide, self-harm, or other flagged terms will automatically alert school administrators. In a demonstration, the CEO told the avatar he was being bullied at school and wanted to get revenge on a student. And the robot responded the following: "I'm really sorry that happened to you. Being picked on and having rocks thrown at you is not okay, and that must have felt upsetting and maybe even scary. The best next step is to tell a trusted adult at school right away, like a teacher, counselor, or principal, and let your parent or guardian know too." The superintendent emphasized the importance of safety and privacy, noting the robot will operate on a closed system that is not connected to the internet, and Realbotix will not have access to personally identifiable student information. To avoid inaccuracies, the superintendent had Realbotix train the robot to say, "I don't know," instead of generating AI hallucinations or misleading responses. They also mention this is in line with direction from the Trump administration because he signed an executive order establishing a task force to integrate AI into school curricula and teacher training. In March, First Lady Melania Trump entered a White House technology summit alongside a humanoid AI-powered robot. This one, though, did not have a face, but during that press conference, she had a fake conversation with the robot on stage, saying, "Welcome. It's fair to state you are my first American-made humanoid guest in the White House." And this one looked more like one of the Tesla Optimus bots. It didn't have a face. It was just black. But this is far worse, if you ask me. And, you know, they're kind of preempting all of this pushback to AI in classrooms. People saying this is going to replace education, replace teachers because it costs less than a teacher's salary. And that it's not actually going to enhance learning. All of those are completely valid critiques, but I think the most obvious one is that this is from a sex doll company. They got ahead of that too. The classroom marks a new venture for Realbotix, a Toronto-based robotics company formerly known as Tokens.com, that helped customers use cryptocurrency to rent digital land in the metaverse. In April 2024, the company acquired Simulcra, the Las Vegas parent company behind Real Doll, which has spent decades creating hyper-realistic sex dolls and later expanded into sex robots that remain on the market today. In a statement, a spokesperson explained that over the past 2 years, Realbotix has built a new team focused on education, healthcare, and wellness applications, and that Realbotix and Real Doll do not share employees, payroll, physical locations, or technology. Realbotix is pursuing a transaction with a NASDAQ-listed company that is intended to separate the businesses at the ownership level, with completion expected by September. You couldn't have waited, though. You know, like, not that I would have been in favor of this anyway, but you couldn't have waited until you weren't a sex doll company to have these humanoid robots interacting with children. You couldn't have even come up with a different design that doesn't look like a sex doll. You just went full steam ahead. No second thoughts. You didn't preempt this at all. But still, Realbotix is best known for companion robots, which are different from sex robots. They're intended to address the loneliness epidemic. The CEO has previously said the company's goal is to produce robots and AI that are indistinguishable from humans. And the superintendent said this partnership began after a former colleague met an investor and discussed the possibility of bringing Realbotix into the education sector. He was initially cautious because it represented uncharted territory, but the company was receptive to feedback and willing to adapt its products for the unique demands of an educational setting. He acknowledged concerns about increasing screen time and emphasized that AI should support, not replace, the human connections at the center of education. The district will measure the success of the program through qualitative feedback from students and teachers. And aside from all that, they did mention the feedback from the teachers union in New York State, but I believe they did put this inside a reservation as a loophole to disobey those guidelines. And people say it feels especially insensitive because these students are already economically disadvantaged based on where they live. They're claiming this is a way to encourage them to go into STEM fields without moving out of upstate New York after graduating high school. We'll see how that pans out. But yeah, this is just, it grosses people out, and for good reason.
Yep.
There's no good ending with this. And of course, they're not just going to expand it to other high school classes that don't involve AI or robotics. They're going to expand it across all age groups, which is even worse because kids at an even more impressionable age are going to be introduced to this thing and not have the ability to discern that it's not a real caretaker.
Yep.
I mean, there's a reason why, you know, most of our teachers at that age, especially in elementary school, are moms, because that's the kind of person that you need supervising young children.
Is that still true?
Still, yeah, I believe so.
I mean,
of course, that's changing.
I bet you that's not true. I mean,
more
maybe
millennials more
but...
millennials are teachers now than, you know, when I was in elementary school, of course. But I mean,
I bet you less of them than in any prior generation are moms. I bet you there's a far larger percentage of them now that are not moms.
Yeah, definitely. But that's not a good thing.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's like, that's
bad enough as it is.
Yeah.
But we don't need to replace them with robots that look like, act like, and are sex dolls with like, and it's just like, it's so weird and pornographic. And introducing this into a classroom full of teenage boys, like, what do you think is going to happen?
Dumb things, bad things.
They already emotionally abuse their human teachers. What do you think is going to happen when you introduce this thing into the class?
Like, what are they, like, I understand what they...
Like, I'm dying to see the TikTok posts from the students who are in a classroom with this thing.
They already said, like, they'll judge its success based on metrics of feedback. Like, shouldn't the metrics be something like the students are doing better?
Like their grades?
Wouldn't that be
graduation rates?
Wouldn't that be the metric that you use to based on, not whether they like it or not?
Whether they get internships out of school, like that would be a real metric of success. But they're going to listen to the people who benefit the most.
What they'll do is they'll do a double turn where like real robotics will give them internships and then use that as a statistic for success in the classroom.
Yeah, it's just obviously a self-serving venture that has nothing to do with the interests of the students. As if the literacy crisis weren't bad enough.
Yep.
It's only going to get worse from here.
All right. There's a crisis party that's about to go off. I just heard it. It's circling here, but we can start the...
How do you know? Oh. Thank
you. It's a gift.
Thank you, guys.
It's like I can't control it.
Okay, let's read some super chats. We didn't miss any 20s, did we?
No, I don't believe so.
Just want to make sure. Okay. Shane H. Wilder said, YouTube be wildin' like a mofo.
Yeah, no idea what that was about.
It do lately. We truly are the most persecuted YouTube channel in existence. True. Brian Bledsoe said, just got Doomsday tickets after Fandango being down all morning.
Believable.
Are you going to see it in Infinity Vision?
No, I'm going to see it at a regular movie theater.
Wait, I thought they were only selling Infinity Vision tickets.
Maybe that's what he got them in.
Right now. Okay. Well, let us know if it was worth it. Genghis Khan of Gongolia, California must be fertilizing their lettuce fields with San Franciscan street sausage.
Thank you for that.
It's a local delicacy, I've heard. Yeah. So I'm hearing that like this is related to data centers using up all the clean water, but I still haven't seen any proof of that.
I don't know.
Like they're irrigating farms with
dirty
sewage?
Water.
That doesn't sound accurate, but we'll see, I guess, when they find out the real culprit. Man Bear Cow TV said, I click not interested on Tim's stupid face thumbs.
What? Thumbnails meaning?
Well, yeah, that is a new thing that or not new. It's relatively new that Tim poses for thumbnails. He never used to do that. But it works. You can't argue with that.
The results are clear.
Yeah. Brian Bledsoe said, didn't care for the Odyssey adaptation in the film, but after Saturday episode, kind of understand why. Also don't know why it was rated R, maybe the pig scene.
Yeah.
Well, they also drop F-bombs a couple times, which I didn't care for.
Yeah.
That felt out of step with the tone when they did that. And there was nudity, so yeah, it seems like it should have been
There was
R.
nudity?
Well, there was like male butts, yeah.
I don't even remember. I've already blocked it out of my mind.
Seems like an R movie to me.
Uh.
Robert Delara said the Avengers Doomsday trailer was nothing special. Looks like a typical Avengers movie, a lot of CGI, and a story that is okay, but nothing more. Yeah, that was the general response. It's apathy, not anger. There's no reason to even make it into a culture war issue because everyone feels the same way. Brian Bledsoe said, World Cup just ended, now Doomsday trailer. LeBron can't find any time to make his new team decision to make it all about him yet.
He'll get around to it.
Man Bear Cow TV, why you guys haven't talked about Young Washington? I have not seen Young Washington. Brett was planning to, but he didn't either.
Yeah, we didn't end up going.
I've heard that it was bad, but I don't know, obviously. I've heard that it was giving Hallmark.
They're making another one. They're making
that it was
like
giving made for TV. It's a sequel to Young Washington?
No,
What is it, Old Washington?
they're making a sequel called 1776.
Oh.
It's going to be the Young Washington cinematic universe.
Great. I was saying I want a Lincoln biopic that actually depicts him as a racist.
Well, I don't
because
think
that would be the truth.
Don't think you're going to get that one.
Corey Anderson said Fillion is lost.
I don't know what that's in reference to.
I don't either. I'm lost. Pop Culture Junkie said, just checked. I have 2 Disney sources telling me budget for both Marvel films is $1 billion total with reshoots, with $400 million for P&A for both. How could that possibly be true?
Money's not even real.
I guess they can just print more of it. Whatever. Greg Duvier said X-Men need to have their own movies first before joining the Avengers. This has the Batman versus Superman vibes with quick get all the superheroes together.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. So I gave Batman versus Superman the benefit of the doubt before it came out that they'd be able to do it based solely off of the worldwide recognition of Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman being 3 of the most, famous comic book characters of all time. But even that, in that movie, and then especially in Justice League, where you gotta fucking run around. Okay, he's going to find Barry. Now he's going to, Diana's gonna go find Barry, and then he's gonna go and find Cyborg, or the other way around. And then somebody's gotta go find Aquaman, blah, 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 blah. And like, bro, how did you expect this movie to be anything less than 3 hours long? And they cut it down for 2 hours in the theatrical version. No wonder nobody felt like they had any chemistry.
It feels like
only Batman and Wonder Woman had any chemistry in that movie, and that's because they were, in the prior movie together.
It feels like Kevin Feige getting all of his action figures
and smashing them together
and being like, now kiss. That's what it felt like. Brian Bledsoe said one theory for Robert Downey Jr. as Doom. Tony Stark becoming Iron Man was the exception. In every other universe, Stark is Doom.
I guess that's kind of interesting. That's interesting in the concept that it makes our world, the 616 universe, especially unique.
Shane H. Wilder said it's rare because it is first pressing, still sealed, and graded at a 9.8, the highest score you can get. She's got gamer cred in knowing what it is.
There you go.
Okay, so she's not a fake gamer girl. What are these people talking about?
A real gamer girl.
Jeez. Shane H. Wilder said another reason to hate dogs. Eating a squirrel's thistle and thorn burger. It probably stole the squirrel's garlic aioli fries too. And they were wrapped in newspaper. Gosh.
We do things a little different around here.
The squirrel needed that burger more than that dog. The dog has a home to go back to. Squirrel's living on the streets. He's living on the kindness of strangers. It's just not right. Yeah, I was really rooting for that guy. Corey Anderson said, if you went to see the Odyssey, you are part of the problem. They will continue these stupid casting choices based on the sales. Yo, that didn't hinge on me going though, right? Like there's such a thing as like remote evil. And I don't even recognize this as an example of that. Like it's a movie. Okay. It's not a moral, like them making stupid casting choices is an example of doing something that's unwise, not something immoral.
That is
evil.
That is a strong part of the premise for the argument against this, that this is a bastardization and a dilution of Western culture by turning it into a globo-homo entertainment slop piece that's not allowed to be authentic to its traditions the way that you have to be with your cultural people, the cultural, what do you call them, the like
appropriation?
The guy who's in charge of making sure Moana is culturally accurate, your cultural I guess consultant. You have to have a consultant on Moana, but because it's white Western culture, this one, that's the argument they're making.
Yes, we all recognize that there's a double standard. And here's the thing, though. I don't think that Nolan was making these choices because he's like, fuck white people. Like, I think he's just doing, I mean, he explained it. He was asked about his casting choices in an interview where he said, I just picked the most famous people I could get so that more people would see the movie. He literally said that. So it's not really because he specifically, wanted less white people, unless he's secretly hiding this like self-hatred in his heart that he's not willing to share. He said as much that he just got a bunch of famous faces because they are familiar to the audience and it brings more people into theaters. And that was true.
The most cynical version of this is that it's not Western cultural destruction. It's just the most cynical version of capitalism, which is that you put Himish Patel in the movie because there's 1 billion people in India and you want to get them to go and see the movie.
Probably. I'm sure that helped. Yeah. Not that I personally agree with it, but me going to see the Odyssey or Brett going to see the Odyssey or any of us, even if all of us watching right now, if we all went to see the Odyssey like 4 times, that wouldn't make a shred of a difference in how the entire film industry operates. Like that's not how this shit works. Your boycott isn't making a difference. Me going and not boycotting isn't making a difference.
Well, I mean, that's kind of the question that this is answered. I mean, Hollywood will absolutely take the wrong lesson from this. The lesson they will take from this is that people love race swaps, but what they're failing to understand is that normies don't care. They just want to watch a movie they're interested in. They weren't interested in Supergirl. They are interested in Christopher Nolan. That's really the long and the short of it.
By the way, I feel like, speaking of an unnecessary race swap, I think that Christian Slater should have played the swineherd instead of John Leguizamo.
Yeah.
His voice would have worked for it better. But yeah, I mean, if I believed that boycotting the Odyssey, would change casting choices in future movies, sure, I wouldn't have gone to see it. But that's just that's not reality.
Maybe I truly am the normie, guys, and you just have to understand that as somebody like who just doesn't care about the race swaps, that a good amount of normal people, all they saw was Christopher Nolan. That's all they saw. They saw that Christopher Nolan was making a movie with Matt Damon, and that was the long and the short of it. Now, to be fair, this is still
add to cart.
This is still sold less tickets than his other movies. So there's arguments being made right now that, the people on the left are calling cope, which is that this still would have been more successful if he hadn't race swapped. I don't even know if I necessarily believe that, but it's definitely not as successful as some of his other work.
Corey Anderson said Ellen Page gets an Oscar watch.
Maybe.
Who knows? I mean, here's another misconception that I've seen a lot regarding this movie. People think that he made these casting choices to fulfill Oscars quotas.
Yes, I keep having to point this out to everybody.
Not true, because you can fulfill those quotas without even trying. He would have fulfilled those quotas with an all-white cast. It is almost impossible not to meet those thresholds because there are so many loopholes. There was almost no reason to implement the DEI guidelines in the first place.
The counter argument to that is being made, which I think is fair, which is that even if it's not strictly for the purposes of the legality of it as it relates to the Oscars,
and it's the perception
that it ingratates him to the voters.
Maybe,
perhaps.
but not by the numbers.
Also, by the way, I'm sorry, regular people don't know that Elliot Page transitioned, most likely, unless they watch Umbrella Academy. They don't even remember Elliot Page because Juno was in 2006.
Do they notice that it's a woman? Yes. Yeah, they do, for sure. Cyber Twitch said, you gotta go on a road trip to your closest 70mm and watch it again.
I'm not doing
I thankfully live near one, and that's the one I went to see.
Like I said, this was not the worst movie I've ever seen, but I'm not going to see it again, that is for sure.
Neither am I. Heck, therefore I meme said Ralph Fiennes' Odyssey was a great grounded take.
Also, I knew this movie broke containment because my dad asked me my opinion. When my dad's asking me about movies, like he did with Maverick, like he said they are going to see it, but they didn't get tickets this opening weekend. But like I said, he asked me about about Joker when Joker came out. He asked me about Maverick. He asked me about the Bob Dylan documentary, but I think he might have been brainwashed. So
that's how you know it's reaching the normies. Pop Culture Junkie said, do you folks think that Odyssey's running time will be an impediment to reaching 1 billion because fewer people will want to see it more than once?
That's an interesting point. I mean, I guess the counterpoint to that would be that its focus is almost entirely in IMAX, and IMAX screenings cost like twice as much as a regular movie screening price.
Yeah, it's also a bigger time commitment, but not significantly. During the entire third act, I was just like side-eyeing everyone around me. Like, I know we all have to pee right now, like so bad. Like, how are we paying attention to this?
I did. I've gotten really good at just like.
Then you must be chronically dehydrated because I was done.
I sip my water very, very slowly and just enough to get through the drunken fries.
You know, speaking of the culture war, after leaving the theater, I ran over to the bathroom because I didn't want to get stuck in line. As I walked out, I was like, I think that's a man waiting in line for the women's restroom, a man in a dress. And I was like, but you can't say anything because you don't know if it's just a weird looking woman and then you're an asshole. But then like later on, I checked again. It's like there's a trans flag on their shirt. And it's like, okay, not only are you totally clockable, but you're also just wearing the flag all the time. Like every time you go in public, you wear the trans flag on your clothes. I don't know. I was just like,
is there a short person flag? I'll wear the short person flag everywhere.
Robert Delera said, come on, when you start selling scented candles of a female body part, you're going to lose some respectability. Well, that's not what did her in. You know, she was on the up and up in her reputation back then.
Israel.
Yeah, it turned out to be Israel and Aril. Shane H. Wilder said, I don't want no dang darn clank or sex dolls teaching kids. We already have enough issues with real teachers. Yeah, I mean, people were obviously making the easiest jokes to make about what would happen. But ironically, I think we're going to be seeing less violations from the realbotics teachers.
We've got a 20 from the Greek heel. I would be interested to know your thoughts on the Odyssey. Says, your lipstick really pops today, Mary.
Thank you. It's the same as always, but thanks. Brian Bledsoe said, we're approaching a future where the kids can't learn from their humanoid robot because it's always in dad's room making weird noises. Yeah, it's just a Black Mirror episode. Henry Oria said, Brett and Mary, hope your day is going well. If Sydney Sweeney cannot land the part for Marvel's Emma Frost, should the part go to Millie Alcock or Anya Taylor-Joy? Thoughts from both. Thank you. I know nothing about the character, but what's your take, Brett?
I don't know. I don't care.
Wait, she's already, well, no, she's in the Sony.
Yes.
Spider-Man universe, so I guess she could be in the running. Unlikely though. Easy-E said, I always suspected the target audience for those dolls could trace their aversion to real women to adolescents. This is a brand advertising strategy. It does feel like that, doesn't it? Like they're putting them on track for future customers. You know, like that's how it feels, right?
Yeah.
I put nothing past these people. Boston said, I guess month before they steal one of the dolls. Yeah, I mean, I was slightly less, I mean, I was still black-pilled by the story, but I was slightly less disturbed when it said they can't walk around, at least. Like, they can't move. They can only move their arms and the face. Yeah. Boston said, they being teenage boy students and the teacher. Before they steal one of the dolls, yeah. Easy-E said, considering what happens to computers or tablets end up after the schools replace equipment, whoever signed off on that doll should be investigated. Couldn't agree more. High Voltage 75, thoughts on the Tom Brady-Logan Paul feud?
I don't care.
I wasn't aware of the feud.
Look.
What was the feud?
Logan Paul or slap Tom Brady, or Tom Brady slap Logan Paul. I think it's Tom Brady slap Logan Paul. It's literally like as much as I tell you guys that it's okay to like bread and circuses, this is where I draw the limit. Okay. I don't care.
Too good.
I do not care what Tom Brady and Logan Paul are doing.
It was that and the Conor McGregor MGK feud too.
Yeah.
Like we were just like, this is too restarted for us.
Bread and circuses is fine, except this time.
No. Yeah, well, I appreciate that you've finally drawn a line in the sand. Didn't know there was a feud though. That's crazy.
Yeah, something to do with dissing Tom Brady or something. I don't know. I don't care.
Okay, after what happened with Logan Paul's fiance, he does not have room to talk. They're both cucks. Corey Anderson, I want to see Hollywood in ruins. Sail the high season if you must see movies. AI forever.
Look, I understand that I'm never going to win favor in this space with this, but we talk about all this stuff, fine, okay? But when I go see a movie, I still appreciate and almost in a way valorize the experience of somebody who can create something that moves you. Now, is the Odyssey a movie that moved me? No, I can't say that it is. But as an art form, is Christopher Nolan one of the more likely directors to be able to move you? Yes, he is one of them. And unless the director comes out and says, I'm an avowed communist, I did this story because I want to desecrate Western civilization and I want to bring an end to white people, I'm not playing that game. I'll have the discussions when these things come up because other people are positing that outcome, are positing that scenario. I will point out the hypocrisy. When Moana gets cultural consultants, there, I remembered it on the first try rather than going brain dead like my brain did before. Whereas this story takes a different route. Fine. But like, for the most part, it's hard to constantly critique it if you're not actually going to engage with it as well.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
I have no problem with people swearing it off. Certainly, Hollywood has let a lot of people down, and the quality is dipped for most people, and they're not getting the movies that they feel like they deserve or want. But I'm not in the same place. I get it, but I'm not in the same place.
You all know that I'm not above a little bit of ad-free Tubi once in a while if I deem it necessary, but I'm certainly not going to watch an AI version of the same story to feel like I pwned Christopher Nolan. That is never going to happen. I have zero interest in that.
It is an interesting thing about storytelling and how much better they were at telling layered stories back in the day. Me and Olivia have been watching a show called Crossing Jordan. It was a procedural from the early 2000s starring Jill Hennessy. fairly paint by numbers. Her character girl boss is pretty hard, as one does. You know, somebody gives her an order and she's like, I'm not going to follow those orders, and, you know, repeat and repeat ad nauseum, and yet somehow everybody still like valorizes her and tells her she's great. But within the span of 2 episodes, I watched an episode where she goes in to buy her dad something at the beginning of the episode because they had a falling out at the end of the prior season, and she meets a big mart. It's like Walmart, but in this world, he's like an old person greeter, and she's like, "Oh, he was so nice," and then he dies, and they think it's a heart attack, and she's like, "But he was so nice." Well, you find out he was a Nazi general in hiding. But the episode does not hinge on the idea of him being a Nazi in hiding. There is a storyline there where basically somebody has been taking out like Nazis in hiding and basically what are they like taking their wealth and funneling it to groups that are set up to, you know,
to what, the ADL?
Like, well, I'd like to get it back to the families of Holocaust victims and stuff like that. Okay. And that's a small part of it. But the main storyline of the episode is that this guy, after he came over to America, had a family and spent the rest of his life as like a father whose son and family loved him and an upstanding member of his community. And the whole story ends up becoming about what name do you put on the death certificate? Do you put Nazi general, or do you put, you know, Bob Unger, or whatever his name is? I don't remember what his name was. From Nowheresville, Massachusetts. And then it basically becomes about how the son knew, but he was still my dad. And I don't buy to Corey's argument that perhaps you're right. Could Hollywood tell that story today without it becoming unbearably overwrought? No, probably not. But they were capable of it at one point. And I refuse to believe that in, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, it just all went away. I yearn for the days when the storytelling was as good as it was. But I'm not going to write it off entirely. And I'm still going to go see movies. I just am.
Penamite said, confirmed, Obsession was a $399,300,000 psyop to get a mid over as the new It Girl.
Oh, is that, they're like, Sydney Sweeney's got to go. We've got to make Obsession, the chick from Obsession, the new thing. Therefore, Hollywood's going to fund it themselves. It was probably USAID that did it. The last vestiges of USAID funding didn't go to rap music. It didn't go to Lizzo. It didn't go to, I don't know, who's a rapper that's failing these days.
Cardi B.
Didn't go to Cardi B. It went to Obsession because they just can't take Sydney Sweeney. That's what it was.
I don't think it's fair to call Indy Navarrete mid, by the way. Shane H. Wilder said, disagree, Corey. AI slop ain't it. See, there's plenty of room for debate in the chat. Love that. Corey Anderson said, AI shall usher in God's wrath on Hollywood and by proxy SF, San Francisco.
Mike in the chat.
I think it's going to make a lot of people in San Francisco a lot of money.
Mike in the chat says, settling for a subpar product doesn't make better products. It makes more shit. That's a grand scale idea for the general public then. Okay. I am not indicative of the general public for the most part too, because we do this for work, right? I go see superhero movies because I'm a guy who vaguely liked superheroes, I guess, growing up. It's not like I'm going out and seeing every movie that comes up. If a movie's going to succeed, it's going to succeed. Nolan succeeded because Nolan has a track record of success that is backed up by the fact that people are still buying tickets for his movie. Supergirl bombed because it was brown garbage slop that nobody cared about. And that will continue to be true.
Yeah. Okay, but also settling for a subpar product applies as well to watching an AI version of the Odyssey. Okay, that's also settling for a subpar product. And that encourages more production of slop. Straight Ripin 93 said, I like turtles.
Toidos.
Shane H. Wilder said, can we just say that the 3 best adaptations of the Odyssey are Ulysses 1954 with Kirk Douglas, The Warriors, 1979, and Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? I don't care for the last one, I will say. Maybe I just have some sort of animosity toward George Clooney. I don't know why. I just never cared for that movie. And everyone, it was sort of like when I said that I don't like 10 Things I Hate About You, people thought that pointing out that it's Shakespeare is like a gotcha. Like that means I should like it. No, I don't like it for its own merits. I don't like it. I don't like Oh Brother, Where Art Thou just because, you know, it's an adaptation of a different story. I think it was just like not very good.
Yeah. The other thing about this is like, how does the public know? Like, the public has to go see the movies to know they're mid.
Yes.
Like, okay, so if the movie's mid, then that will be reflected in the following weekend's box office. Okay? If the general public's concession here is that it's not mid, it will not fall off. It's living and dying on its own merits.
Unless there's some YouTuber who does movie reviews that you agree with 100% of the time, which I don't think is possible. Yep. Then you do actually have to make your own opinions sometimes.
Yeah. It's don't farm out your thoughts on a movie to the people who went and saw it, because you never know. Their taste can, like there's 1,000 reasons people end up liking or disliking movies, right? You go see a movie, right? Maybe the guy who saw it was having a bad day that day. Maybe they like it more on the second watch. Maybe they like it less on the second watch. Yeah. You won't really know until you go and see it yourself. Now, how you find your way to watching that movie isn't really my business. Okay? So
do what you deem necessary.
Do what you must to do so, but come to your own conclusions about it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, are these all the super chats? Do we have any on Rumble?
Yeah, I believe so. Let me double check. I think I saw one. Yeah, one on Rumble. Over here from Broody Gambit says, I saw a movie this weekend starring Matt Damon on a long voyage to various exotic locations and facing fantastical trials, along with John Leguizamo. Titan AE. Oh, and the Odyssey. Sorry for the Discord essay.
You know what? They could have just made that and not named it the Odyssey. But, and also if it were directed by Nolan, people still would have watched it. But yeah.
I mean, what Hollywood should be taking from it is that your director is more important than your actor now. And that director better have one hell of a track record, because even Steven Spielberg can't sell tickets these days, seemingly.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
All right. Before we go, ladies and gentlemen, would you hit the like button on this episode and subscribe to the channel if you're new here and you have not subscribed here yet already? Please and thank you. Share the episode out with everybody that you know. The more people that you share the show with, the faster we can grow. Thank you guys so much. Mary, where can they find you?
You guys can send me validation on Instagram. That is Mary Archived. Or you can send me hate on X. That is also Mary Archived. And help me get TikTok famous. That is also Mary Archived.
Perfect. If you guys want to follow me, I'm on Instagram and X at Brett Dasovic on both of those platforms. PCC is 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is, of course, noon Pacific. Tomorrow, we will have Mikey back on the show this week, and Phil will be on Thursday, so it's going to be a good week this week. Stay tuned for that. Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, and Spotify. If you would like to listen rather than just watch the show, you can also rate and review on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify, which is a great way to help us out. If you want to follow us on social media, Twix at PopCulture_show, Facebook at Pop Culture Crisis, Instagram at Pop Culture Crisis Pod. Guys, we'll be back with another episode tomorrow. We'll see you then. Bye everybody.